Network of awareness makes your brain coherent. One of the fastest growing podcasts. You can hear it 24/7. Got listeners out in London, informationalists in Paris. The echo spreading out, no parrot. Just dissect, digest, and share it. The righteous rhymes hit the spirit. Click 90 times, it won't perish. Cause y'all's the mind ain't no fairy tale like the belly our parents. It's time to rise, don't get wary. United minds, it's apparent. Download every single errand, but most ain't fit to catch it, even if they were Larry. Interviews, the interludes, they enter you, taking you on a journey like no other. It places you in a state of awareness. It's your fault if you hate the truth, cause Yahweh's on his way, my brother. Better change your views. All praise, yeah.
Peace and greetings. Presenting the Network of Awareness podcast radio station, providing in-depth information on society and culture in America and abroad, bringing you truth messages of inspiration, keen insight, reputable interviews, and so much more. So now, for the truth you've been waiting for, your host of the Network of Awareness podcast, Aura, the informationalist.
Yes. Peace and greetings, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the live broadcast of the Network of Awareness. I'm your host, owner, and founder of the Network of Awareness. And it is Tuesday, May 17th, approximately 7:04 p.m. here in the Tampa Bay area in Florida. Shout outs to all the people that follow me on social media like networkofawareness.com, the #1 on Instagram, Aura_informationalist on Twitter, Aura_NOA on Twitter and TikTok, And also thanks to all the brothers and sisters that follow me on Supercast, on Patreon, and all those other wonderful places that I forgot about. Tumblr, Facebook, Telegram. It's hard to keep up. Shout out to all the people that download the shows from Spreaker, Apple, Spotify, Bullhorn, and most importantly, if you download the show, show a brother some love and download from networkofawareness.com. And soon coming to Roku and Internet TV, networkofawareness.tv. So, brothers and sisters, we got a great show tonight. One that I am going to speak so passionately on. That's why I put the explicit button on tonight. I didn't curse yesterday, right? And sometimes I do that. I like for my shows to be somewhat clean in language, if you even want to call English language clean at all. But this one, this one's gonna be a banger, and this one is gonna have some rude, foul language, because I keep telling y'all, people, this country sucks. It really does. There's nothing really great about this place. The only thing that's great is the people that live here, and it ain't all of you. It's only a small amount. 1/3 of the country's population is great. The other 2/3, I don't know. And we're going to talk about some of these 2/3 individuals. Because this is happening for a reason. And that reason is there to serve you. So tonight's show on season 4, by the way, if you don't know what season 4 represents, season 4 represents unconditional salvation. Peace to Brother Mauricio. I'm glad you're here, brother, because this one's going to be a banger. Whoever doesn't show up on this one, oh well, they're going to be missing out. So shout outs to the brothers and sisters that are coming into the chat room a little bit later. And shout outs to the people that are listening outside of the chat room. And shout outs to all the people they'll be downloading later. Download the show. Networkofawareness.com, baby. Let's go. So let's get this party started, and let's get it started right. Here we go.
Happening to me in plain English without the mumbo jumbo.
You are now tuned in to the Network of Awareness.
How you doing?
How are you doing, brothers and sisters, people, all my positive people around the world? Thank you for joining the live broadcast on the Network of Awareness podcast radio show. I'm your host, or the informationalist, and we got a great show tonight because this is a topic that's that needs to be discussed. It's not discussed enough because a lot of masquerading goes on here in the United Serpents of America, and it's about time that we bring things to the light here, because not everything is as it seems to be here. That's what this country represents. It's always like, you know, they, like in the book of Isaiah, where it says they've accepted the darkness for the light and the light for the darkness. That's a great representation of how this country operates. And we're going to cover some things in regards to not just racism, not just white. See, I don't really like saying white supremacists. I'm going to tell you why. And there's going to be some of you people that if you don't like what I'm saying on this show, change the channel. Because I am not a racist. And my prejudices are very specific from a case-to-case basis. And what do I mean by that? Well, in this country, there is a thing called the white supremacists. But I don't like using the word supremacist because there's really nothing supreme about the so-called culture, or what we call white culture here in America, because it's not even a culture. It's a mentality that a lot of European descent people have adopted based on the historical things that have happened here since the inception of this country, especially when this country started instituting government as a way of being. First came the Declaration of Independence, then came the Constitution of the United States of America. But it's all a big lie. It's all a big deception. And we have this thing called white culture, or white privilege, or white supremacy. And in actuality, there really is no such thing as white supremacy. And the reason being is because these were derived from Europe that was eventually called whiteness or Aryan. It really doesn't have any power. And when you look back into history, there's not anything that white culture or the descendants of those cultures in the days of antiquity have ever created. All culture, all of the things that make this world what it is today, when it comes to science, when it comes to innovation, when it comes to spirituality, when it comes to the overall knowledge of humanity and how humanity has been able to become a civilization, has come from melanated men and women. I'm not going to use the word black men and women because there is no such thing as black men and women. These are all social constructs. But there are the people that have existed for thousands of years that lived under very hot conditions, that lived under the sun and have been creating and constantly developing what we know as culture. But for some reason, especially in this country, it happens in other places too, like Africa and all that, all these places that have been colonized. There comes this mentality that is very much egoically driven. Now, I have to say that not all so-called white people or those of European descent are of wicked nature. There's a lot of so-called white people that are very spiritual and good people. There are so-called black and brown people that are very spiritual people, and there are black and brown people that ain't worth a lick of shit. And it's not just this John Brown bloodline, you know, because back in the days of slavery, there was a lot of people like John Brown. There was a lot of women. There were counterparts to John Brown. There's many white families that operated just like John Brown. It's just that John Brown has become the forefront of conversation. But don't get it twisted. A lot of white people died because of their support for the Hebrew slaves that existed back in the days. It's a lot of them. Obviously, there was more that had hate in their heart. And I truly believe that there is a spirit when it comes to this. This is because everything is based on spirit and spirituality. Because when you look at a lot of these videos on social media where these kids are banging on people's doors and all this other stuff that happens that's racially motivated, there's something in the spirit. And it's something wicked when it comes to white culture. It's something that I've seen something I've seen for over 4 decades, since I was a little kid. And I remember being called a nigger when I was, how old was I? I think I was 9. I was around 9 or 10, and it was here in Florida while I was on vacation visiting my brother. I was spending time with my brother at his girlfriend's house because my brother lived with my father once he was in his late teens. And so did my sister. But my sister wound up coming back. I never went to Florida to stay with my father or live with my father because my mother wasn't having that. But long story short, this kid called me a nigger. And I really didn't understand it. And I'm going to tell you something. Even though I grew up in the Bronx, I never really heard that word by my family or any of my black or brown friends that I grew up with. It wasn't something that we was calling each other a lot as little kids or at all. It wasn't until we got older where we started using that term to identify each other. And it's a term that now I rarely say at all to identify. But, it is what it is. If that's, if you're somebody that uses that word, that's, that's on you. I'm not judging anybody. It's just a word that I don't like to use just because, unless it's for educational purposes like now. And sometimes it comes out. I ain't going to lie to you. And it comes out when I really think somebody's acting funny or something. And it might slip out here and there, but it's not a word that I try to say a lot just because of the vibration it carries. But here in America, you have men like in this artwork that I have up here, okay, that have terrorized people, primarily so-called black and brown people. Now we have this new situation of this guy, this young white guy, who basically staked out the top supermarket out in Buffalo, New York, and wound up killing people. Now, if you've seen the clip, there's a clip on Instagram that was that I got to see where he specifically passed by this white guy that was on the ground. He was a cash register guy at Tops. He pointed the gun on him and then said sorry, because he realized that he was pointing the gun on one of his own, another white guy. What did he do? He kept running and looking for more black and brown people. And what did he do? He killed, I believe, 10 black and brown people purposely. What's even more interesting, and it's not by surprise because it's happened over and over and over again. Why is it that when these men go on killing sprees, they don't get killed by the police? How is it that they're always apprehended and have handcuffs on them? And they don't even have a bruise, a black eye, a busted lip, nothing. And here we are again, same thing happened. And this man has handcuffs on him, and he looks like he just woke up to start his day. And he's got all types of weapons. He's got all types of derogatory, racist comments written on his guns, and nothing happens to him. Very interesting, right? It's almost like it doesn't make sense, but yet it does. And that's why I'm doing this show today, because we're going to make a lot of sense of this today, because it all makes sense. We're in the United Shenanigans / Serpents of America. And this place fucking sucks. It's a wicked, vile, demonic place. And you better be on your P's and Q's, and you better be extremely self-aware, and you better have a spiritual connection with the Most High, because if you don't, you might not make it here. You might get fucked up in the game, because this game here is always about fucking you up in some way, shape, or form. You have this, I would say, young man, adolescent, 18 years old. He's considered an adult. And he don't have not one bruise on him after he just slaughtered and murdered in cold blood 10 people. Doesn't make sense, but yet it does. See, because this is the home of the disorderly deviants. This is the home of the psycho savages. This is the home of the heathens. Always has been and always will be until it doesn't exist anymore. And I know what some people are thinking about. They're like, oh, what's he talking about? This is my country. This is a great place. I built my dreams here. Really? You built an illusion that served you to believe that it's a dream that you've always had. But when it comes down to it, this country don't give a fuck about you. Because all it gives a fuck about is if you're going to pay your taxes and you're going to make a lot of money, yeah, this country will support you. And if you go about making that money in very ruthless, deceitful ways, oh, this country will support you 110%. Heavy. This country supports the lie because that's all it's based on. It's based on a legacy of lies, and this is no different. It's interesting that one of the news reporters that was covering the story on TV, I forgot what network, it was one of these white guys, and he said to one of the black, I don't know who this guy was, but he was basically covering the story. And he said, you think it's possible that there was mental health or illness here? Because he is 18 years old, and you know the brain hasn't fully developed by the age of 18 years old. Really? And I'm going to see if I could get that clip, but that's basically what he said. And I'm listening to this shit, and I'm like, it doesn't surprise me. Why is it that, first of all, brothers and sisters, the brain is fully developed by 18 years old, okay? But what's interesting is that you have another older white man trying to sugarcoat what the fuck this kid just did by saying that it may be attributed to mental illness. But it's not mental illness. But that's what they do. That's what the cops do. Cops do it all the time. They'll pull a guy over that's a white guy. He'll be drunk, maybe even have some weed on him, some pills. And he'd be like, hey, well, you been drinking? And, well, let me check the car. And he got marijuana. And all of a sudden he's like, because you've been honest with me and you work with me and you didn't give me an attitude, I'm just going to let you go. I'm not going to let you drive the car. Okay? I'm going to have you park the car over there. You can call somebody in your family. They can pick it up tomorrow, but you're going to have to walk home. All right? I'm going to cut you some slack this time. But you have a little boy by the name of Tamir Rice, a boy, not an 18-year-old, a boy, a little boy at that. And for social construct's sakes, because I know a lot of people in this country only understand the status quo language here. So a little black boy gets shot in less than 12 seconds from the moment they pull up. They pull guns out and blast this kid for having a toy gun. So for all you people that says that racism doesn't exist, that black people don't have it hard here, and stop the bullshit, man. Because the truth is coming out into the light. And it's because the truth is coming out in the light that this incident happened. And I bet you as we dig deeper, or as some of us that are going to be dedicated in digging deeper into this fucked up rabbit hole, because there's always a rabbit hole to these stories, we're going to find out more and more to this story. And I could tell you that the reason why something like this happened is because everything is based on spirituality. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience. And the days of this white culture this artificial white supremacy is drawing near. Its time is nigh. It's time for it to be over. It's coming real fucking soon. And I can't wait. And a lot of, especially middle age to older white men, are starting to really get nervous. And so are their women, but it's more the men. See, there are younger generations like this man that are affected by this because of their upbringing, of how they are educated by their parents, their grandparents, and other family members. And when I looked at this story, and I didn't look too deep into it, but when I looked at it and I saw how this man wanted to kill black people so bad, this young man, it comes from a deep, deep rooted insecurity. And it's because things are changing in the world. And it's not being spoken about enough that a lot of white people have targets on their back for all of their sins, for all of the wickedness that they have thrived off of, and all of the wickedness that they've brought to this world. And the recompensation has already started, and it's going to get worse. Now, I don't want you to think that all black or brown people or melanated people around the world are the best things since sliced bread, because they're not. There's a lot of wicked people all over the world that are dark as dirt, and they ain't worth shit. But when you look at the evil that has resonated throughout the world and has taken full control based on that evil, it comes from so-called white people. And you have men like this that are doing these things because it comes from a level of insecurity to know that their time is up, that the big charade, the big masquerade, the big lie is now coming to be told as something that is a lie, but it's being brought into the light so we can know the truth now, that there has never been no white supremacy. It's all been one big illusion. And furthermore, if you don't know, the only reason, and this is something I had to learn when I started listening to brothers like Yash Kara, and when it comes to spirituality, because even though I was having scriptures broken down to me as a kid, it was being broken down to me by a lot of Christian pastors that really focus on prosperity talk than anything that's really spiritual when it comes to scriptures. And that shit is still happening right now. Matter of fact, it's probably happening right now in some church where some preacher's talking about fucking prosperity. It's disgusting. And if you're a Christian, listen to this. Don't take offense to what I'm saying, but religion as a whole is just to mislead you, period. Whether you want to believe it or not. But there's something with white people, especially in this country, that comes from a level of insecurity. And it shows in so many examples. Like, you ever been in a situation, right? And a lot of my brothers and sisters that speak languages, you know, my brothers and sisters that are from Trinidad or from Haiti or from Puerto Rico or from Cuba or Dominican Republic, or my brothers and sisters from Guyana or from Africa. You start speaking a different language here in the United States and you got white people around you, they're going to start feeling a certain type of way because you're not speaking English. And then they get so upset that you're not speaking their language that they feel everybody should speak. Speak English. You're in America. The sad part in this idiocracy here is that this ain't even their country. And history has even taught you this. The educational institutions, as much as they suck here, they even teach you this to a certain degree, that this country didn't even belong to them, that it was taken over. And speaking of that, back to what I was saying before, because I didn't want to go off in a different tangent. This is all spiritual. The only reason why black and brown people are being subdued and are being controlled and terrorized is because it's a spiritual curse. That's the only reason. Because there's nothing else that makes sense of it all. Because when you think about it, how is it that all throughout the early 1900s, up until the 1970s, you had a lot of black and brown people. And even this, listen, man, I ain't gonna shit you, man. There's people still acting like this today. It's quite sad, but it's true. You had a lot of black and brown people that would keep their head down, be on some yes ma'am, no ma'am, settle for drinking at different water fountains and all that. And when you have this history and you see how people are so submissive and so willing to listen to this terror, this tyrannical energy that says this is how it is and I'm better than you. It's a spiritual curse, because even growing up, it didn't make sense to me when I would see my family members that I consider strong men and women being submissive to this. It makes no fucking sense. But then when you start to understand that in the scriptures where it talks about this, where it talks about these curses throughout the scriptures, where it talks about this in Deuteronomy, you start to understand things a lot clearer. And then you can see things with your spiritual eyes and say, that has to be it, because there's nothing else, looking at it from a logical perspective, that makes sense. None. Only when you look at it spiritually, you start to say, okay, it has to be a curse, because why else would this force, this demonic force, have so much control and so much artificial power? Because the power is artificial, people. And if you, and let me say this again to all my brothers and sisters in this truth that identify as a white person, this message is not about you, because there are white people that have that spiritual understanding of what is and what isn't. But there's not a large population of you people out here in this country. So we have to tell it how it is. You see, when I see this picture that's on the artwork, I see nothing but demons. That's what I see. I don't see human beings. I don't see spiritual beings having a physical experience. I see demons. And I see demons that have been taught by other demons to be what they became. Somebody was raising this kid to be fearful of the black man and woman. Somebody did. And there's a transition. There is a spiritual awakening happening where the 400 years are up. Excuse me, as of 1619. As of 2019. And from 1619. If we're going to go by the Gregorian calendar. But there is a shift in the mindset of the melanated man and woman here in America and around the world, but especially here in America, because the treachery here and the demonic behavior is thick. And this level of insecurity of the white man and woman is coming out heavy duty. You see, everything is very strategic in the way these malevolent dark forces work that run this country. And when Trump was brought into presidency, there's a lot of people, even people around here in Florida, there's a lot of white men and women that were sticking their chest out like they were the shit. And to me, if you're putting so much energy to make people believe that you're so important, it's really because you're so fucking weak spiritually. If you got to go out of your way to let people know that you're important and that you need to be respected. Most people that are melanated here in this country, they don't have to go out of their way to make you believe that they're important, that their life has value. Why? Because their life has value. It just is. But there's something with the mentality and the culture here that's egoically driven, right? Like the brother said yesterday, Richard Blank. It's egoically driven here. And then when they go to other countries, that ego follows them and they are egoically, they behave in the ego in other places. Well, guess what? They used to do that before and nothing happened. Now something's happening. Now they're getting killed left and right in other countries. But when it comes to the media, they hide these things. And when it comes to the media, they protect this man like they did not too long ago when he killed all these people in Buffalo and said, oh, you know, the brain doesn't fully develop at 18 years old. It's possible that it's mental health. But you see, it's not so much it's mental health, it's a spiritual thing. I've seen it here where you have a lot of white middle-aged men that are my age that feel very uncomfortable right now because they know that their time is up. I was watching a Netflix comedy special by a white guy named Chris DiStefano. If you get a chance, check him out. And the only reason I'm saying check him out is like he's not like super, super funny, but he is funny. But one thing I liked about his comedy special is that he talks about how he's now with this Puerto Rican woman and he has Puerto Rican children, right? He's making jokes about it like he's safe now because he said, white people, we had a good run, but it's over. And he said, you better start getting used to it. And he said, you better find you know, somebody that's not white to be friends with and huddle up with because it's about to get real. And this idea of white privilege and white culture here in America is soon about to be over. You got a lot of white people saying this shit. And when you got white men and women saying this shit, it can't get any realer than that, right? Because normally when you see a black man or just a melanated person talking about all the atrocities that have happened here, and they talk about how this will soon be over and people will start coming together and understanding this truth, they're like, oh, you know, that's coming from a black man or woman. But when you see white people saying this shit, then it just has a whole other different frequency and energy to it. Because they are seeing the truth. It's happening as we speak. And you have situations like this that is just an act of desperation that's coming from a long, long bloodline of insecurity, a deep, deep spiritual insecurity. And the larger, 2/3 of white people in this country are fucked up in the head. They truly believe that they're the best at everything. They think they create everything. They think they come up with all the best ideas. But yet, when you start digging into history, like, for example, I've talked about this before, Thomas Edison was not a great man. Thomas Edison was great at manipulating motherfuckers. That's what he was great at. And most white men that they say were the forefathers and the innovators of American society and culture and history were not smart men. They were cunning, they were ruthless, and they would take all and everything that was created from black people and called it their own. And Thomas Edison was no different. Thomas Edison didn't create shit. Thomas Edison didn't discover a fuck. All he discovered was how to fuck people over. And all of those black and brown men that were working in his factories and in his places of that he would hire people in Newark, New Jersey, he stole all their patents or took them and just patented it and just basically took their inventions and called them his own. Same thing like Henry Ford. He took the knowledge that George Washington Carver gave him and created a multi-billion-dollar industry in the car industry. Everything we've been told here is a lie. And the times are turning. The zeitgeist of this country is changing. The spirit of the times is changing. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to happen tomorrow. It's a gradual process. But people, the truth is coming out, man. And I'm so grateful that we have the internet. Because of the internet, we are able to share this valuable information in seconds with each other. I could be in, let's say, China or Africa right now, and I could put something out to somebody here in America on an Instagram post, and in a couple of seconds, they get to see it. That's powerful. And that's not a coincidence. Everything that happens here happens for a reason. And one thing that I've come to know in my later years in life is that the scriptures is so on point. And when I speak of scriptures, I'm not talking about just the Bible. I'm talking about all scriptures. And even the ones that we don't even know exist, that are hidden deep, deep miles away into the hidden dungeons of Rome in the Vatican. There's a lot of books there that we don't even know exist, that they have been coveting and keeping secret. But eventually it's going to come out. This is the home of disorderly deviants. And here they are, just a few, but there's many. I see it all the time. I'll be honest with you people. I am not a racist, and my prejudices are on a case-by-case basis. It's not set in stone. But I'm going to be honest with you. And I was telling Letta this the other day. When I'm around a lot of people that look like this, I don't feel comfortable. Something in my spirit ain't right. And many of you, if you haven't heard my past episodes about me in corporate America and how I was treated in corporate America, is what I'm talking about. It's whenever I've been around this type of people or people of this mentality, I've never felt comfortable. I felt like I had to be super aware because I was around a lot of sharks, by myself in the water. And a lot of times, what it made it even worse is that if I would work a job where there was just a lot of white guys and I was the only melanated guy there, if there were other melanated men, sometimes they were just as worse as the white dudes that I was working with. I had to be careful of those motherfuckers too. Because you got a lot of them, male and female. I've worked with many of them throughout my short life. And I don't know which one is more disgusting. The white guy that has got a lot of hate, or the white girl that's got a lot of hate in their heart for you, or the black or brown guy or girl that's trying to win them over and will fucking step over you, step on your neck just to fucking look good in front of their eyes. I don't know which one is worse. Because to me, they're both disgusting. It's disgusting to see. I had a friend that we're not friends no more that had a kid with a white girl out in upstate New York. And he tried to act like her family to fit in so hard that I couldn't even recognize him no more. And I could have been in the same position as he was, but I'm not built that way. I've never been the type of guy, or even as a kid, that would try to make white people like me. I was always the type of kid is like, this is what you fucking get. If you don't like how I am, I don't give a fuck. It ain't changing. And yes, I could stay in the sun all fucking day. And I love it. That was my mentality. When it came to embracing my peoples, when it came to embracing the culture in which my family comes from, I never slipped and slide, or I never played the flim flam. And now that I'm older, I know why, because it's a spiritual thing, man. And if you're spiritually weak, you are going to start trying to please this fucked up culture here of this white supremacy, like white is right. You know, white privilege. I matter here. You don't. I never gravitated to that. Because I knew deep down inside, there was something inside of me that I knew that my spirit had value. And just because of the way I looked, I didn't feel like I was lesser of these people that were around me from time to time. And then when I came to upstate New York, I got to see it in a whole different way. And it was pretty bad. But I was already conditioned to be like, fuck that shit. I don't subscribe to none of this bullshit. And those days of keeping your head down and keeping your mouth shut, those days are over, especially with the younger generation. That shit don't really fly. And what you're seeing now is a lot of the younger generation of so-called white kids, they're starting to gravitate to the ways of black and brown kids that they're around. And they're starting to see the beauty within these people. But then you got dudes like this guy who killed all these people in Buffalo, New York, that somebody, since he was a kid, was telling him that we ain't shit. And because he's starting to see, I guarantee you, he was starting to see something. He was starting to see that spiritual transformation of how this thing called white culture doesn't even exist. And the power structure that has been keeping it all together and keeping it in this light of power and prestige is crumbling. And it's crumbling fast. And you see, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this episode is because there might be a young black child or boy or girl that feels like there's no hope. They feel like all the odds are against them. And I want this show to remind them that they're going to be just fine. That the odds are not against them. That the odds are actually shifting in their favor. And it's as we draw nearer and nearer, we're going to see this to be more of a truth than anything else. But I also have to say that it's not even really about a black or white thing. That's what we've been taught. This is what we've been conditioned to believe. It's a spiritual thing. Because I will be the first to always say this, is that I have and I've met white people, so-called white people, right? We have to say the so-called because there ain't no such fucking thing as a white person or a black person or a brown person or a yellow person. This shit is romper room fucking propaganda that we've adopted as kids and become adults, and we think this is what it is. The pigmentation of people's skin has nothing to do with a fucking color on a crayon box. But this is the methods of madness that have been socially engineered and conditioned within all of us to perceive this as our reality. No different than how we perceive a piece of paper as having this astronomical amount of great wealth when it's just a fucking piece of paper that has numbers on it with some fucking crackerjack barrel motherfucker's face in the middle of it with a big fucking pyramid behind it. And we kill for that shit. Everything is based on perception, but the truth is coming out. And I can't wait to the days where money no longer has any importance in our society, where people no longer have to look at somebody's complexion to decide whether they matter or not. And I hope I'm alive to see that fully come into fruition. The good thing is that we're in a time right now where all of these lies that we've been taught when it comes to the so-called white culture is now coming to the forefront like, yo, this is all bullshit. The founding fathers? Come on, man. When we look back on it, they didn't even create the Declaration of Independence. They were given the blueprint and then called it their own. That's all that happened. It wasn't this great manifestation of meeting of the minds where all these great men came together and said, oh, we're going to put this together. That shit didn't even happen. Everything we've been told is a lie. The indigenous melanated people of this land is the ones that gave it to them in the first place. And when you look at history, when you look at civilizations, many civilizations were peaceful, thriving, orderly. Many of them. And then you have this time period where people from Europe, those from the Caucasus Mountains, started coming and basically fucking shit up. And what was the comment that I heard today from one of the brothers from Africa? He said, all you brought to any of our countries that were always civilized is capitalism. And that's a fact. And you know something else the brother said? He said, why don't you leave? You talk about we should leave. You know, like you hear it. I had somebody tell me this on TikTok. Somebody called Long Lager or something. Talking about, he heard one of my shows. He said, well, if you don't like it here, leave. This is my country. And I was like, okay. That's not all I said, but this ain't your fucking country. And what the brother said was, if you was to leave, we would thrive very well without you. We don't need your capitalism. We don't need your fucking McDonald's and your Burger Kings and your fucking Taco Bells. We don't need none of that shit. We're better off without it. And that's a motherfucking fact. And when I think about these disorderly deviants, this all stems from a long legacy of lies, of insecurity, deep, deep spiritual insecurity, that you feel so inadequate. You feel you are so fearful of you losing the lies that have given off a certain level of perception to the masses. You're so fucking fearful of losing your lie that you just want to kill, kill, kill. He didn't kill, if you haven't seen it, he didn't kill the white cash register, the young guy. He said sorry and kept it moving. He only killed so-called black and brown people. And I ain't gonna lie to you. I got a little emotional, not like I wanted to cry. I got more emotional I got filled with a little bit of anger and rage. What I like to call sacred rage, because this is a long lineage of rage. But when I saw the pictures of these elderly women, and I mean all the people that got killed, but especially these elderly women, like, you gotta be a real piece of shit to kill a woman that's in her 80s and 70s. You gotta be like a real piece of shit. But it also goes to show how weak this young man is. And it's no different than the cops, because a lot of these police officers, and I was having this conversation with Letta the other day. I was like, imagine if there was no cops, or imagine if all of a sudden they passed the law and told the cops, you could still be cops, but we're going to take away your guns. Cops can't have guns anymore. And let's just say, just to keep it fair, right? Because I know some people that are in law enforcement, it's like, this guy's a fucking idiot. What is he talking about? But let's just make it fair. Let's just say that they did away with guns miraculously, right? Let's just say guns didn't exist no more. Boom, they're over and done with. It's law. And now you can still be a police officer, but you can't carry a gun. It's almost like you're in Europe, where you have your nightstick and maybe some pepper spray. Do you really believe that these so-called white cops would be acting as tough as they do? The only reason they act as tough as they do is because they got that fucking weapon in their side. That's the only fucking reason. Because a lot of these cops out here are straight pussies. They are fucking weak. And I'm not even just talking about physically, I'm talking about spiritually and also mentally. Especially mentally, because a lot of these cops that I've come across throughout my lifetime, all of them are egoically driven and they're egoically fragile. They always want to prove something. But if it wasn't for that gun, they wouldn't even have the opportunity to have the balls to want to prove it in the first place. This country is going to be over, people. I don't know when, but I'm going to tell you something. I don't see this country lasting another century. I just don't. I don't see this country lasting another motherfucking century. I can't see it. And the writings already in scriptures, the writings on the wall, that this place is soon to be over with. And when I see something like this, it pisses me off, because it's one thing that he did this, and, there's nothing we could do to stop it from happening, because he was staking out the place supposedly a year or two in advance and all this other shit. But the fact that he didn't even have a scratch on him, it's like, what? This motherfucker just killed 10 people and nobody shot at him? Nobody? But little innocent Tamir Rice has a toy gun that he's playing with by himself in the park and gets gunned down? And you're going to tell me this is not a wicked place? This place is wicked. There's so many things, people, that have happened in this country that we'll never know about, that will never be in the historical books, that nobody, no matter how much research they've done, will ever find out about it. And that's the shit that this country really has to pay for and be recompensed for. Not just the stuff that's been brought out into the light. It's about the stuff that we're never going to find out about, that only the Most High knows about. That's the real shit. Because wickedness goes on every single day in the United Serpents of America. Because you have a lot of serpents here. There's a lot of evil here. And for all you people that love this country, enjoy it while it lasts, because it ain't going to be here too long. Because the disorderly deviants, these motherfuckers are nervous. And they're lashing out in violence, just violent ways, because that's all they know. When things don't go their way, they get violent. You ever seen a white person in this country? The ones that are lost spiritually, the ones that come from these wicked bloodlines. Whenever shit don't go their way, they fucking catch a heart attack. They get all upset, and it could be from the most little minor thing to the biggest thing. Just like when the teacher, I forgot her name, that teacher, that old white lady that's really on point, that did those experiments in her classroom where she would treat white people a certain way based on eye color. So if you had brown eyes, you were considered the privileged. And then if your eyes were colored and it was the white people, she would put them to the side. And these young white men and women, some of them were even older. They couldn't even handle a little fucking peaceful experiment. They were catching fucking feelings for just being segregated based on their eye color while they knew it was a fucking experiment. It wasn't even real. It's just a test. And they couldn't even fucking handle that. Listen, there's so much that I don't know when it comes to this type of stuff. When it comes to spirituality, there's so much I don't know. Because sometimes I'm still trying to wrap my head around how a people could feel so insecure around other people whose skin complexion is darker than theirs. It baffles me. Doesn't make fucking sense sometimes. It's only now, for the last 20 years, since I got into my 20s, that I started little by little, really starting to understand things on why they are and how it came to be. Because it's all based on some spiritual curse where people have been disobedient to the Most High. And the Most High is punishing these bloodlines of people. Because nothing else makes sense whatsoever. None of it. And the level of insecurity within white culture makes me realize it even more. Because if you feel uncomfortable with just me being around you, if you feel uncomfortable with me speaking a different language around you, there's something fucked up with you. There's something wrong there. And there's something there that it's more than meets the eye. It's something you can't see with the physical eye. You can only see it with the spiritual eye. And what my spiritual eyes are seeing is a transformation. And it's a truth formation where the truth is now being embraced more and more. But it's only being embraced by 1/3 of the world's population. And that's from all different cultures of people. There's only 1/3 of the world's population that's embracing this truth because they've always been probably waiting for it, just like I have. And you hear me say a lot that ever since the pandemic happened, I feel great. I feel like $1 million. And I don't have $1 million. There's sometimes where I only have a few bucks and I still fucking feel great. There's something that happened when the pandemic hit that I was like, yes, finally, this country is being exposed for what it always has been and always has represented. And I've always been the type of person to say, fuck America, because America is not great. It never has been, never will be. There's nothing great about this place. How can a place, or how can a land that was taken over, it's not even really their land, but how can a system of power, a system of governance be great when in order for it to exist, it had to rape, torture, and manipulate other people in order for it to come into fruition? How can that be great? There's nothing great about it. It's one of the reasons why I don't really listen as much as I like KRS-One people, right? The hip hop artist that's considered one of the illest MCs ever to grab the mic. One of the reasons why I have no respect for this man no more and why I don't even listen to his music no more is because when you are supporting a fucking pedophile and all the facts prove that he's a pedophile, and I'm talking about Africa Bambaataa, okay, from the Zulu Nation. When you're supporting a man like that, after everything that's come out into the light, that he is a fucking pedophile, and that is very well possible that the reason why the Zulu Nation was even fucking created was because that's what pedophiles do. Why not create an organization that's going to be able to mentor young men and women and bring them into a culture and a way of thinking organizationally? It's like heaven to a pedophile. It's like, let me take my pick. Because normally what happens in those types of organization, the youth is going to revere the elder that is the head of the organization. It's fucking pedophilia 101. And it's probably a handbook that teaches that shit. Because I know that Aleister Crowley taught a lot of that shit. So when I see somebody like KRS-One back in a African Bambaataa, it's very much like, well, we don't know if all that's true. And still, that doesn't discount all the great things that he done for hip hop. What? When I heard KRS-One say that shit, I was like, oh man, it's a wrap. Fuck this motherfucker, man. Get the fuck out of here. See, I don't give a fuck how cool we are, how many great things you did. When I know that you are a piece of shit, you are going to get treated like a piece of shit. I don't give a fuck what you did for the hip hop culture, what you did for government, society, or whatever. And let's just keep it real before we take a break. When it comes to the United Serpents of America, all of those politicians that you see, they're all wicked. They all do deviant things. They all do fucked up shit. There's nothing great about these men and women. Just like there's nothing great about this country. There's nothing great about the fucking Pope. The Pope is a fucking demon. He might very well be the spawn of Satan. or a spawn of Satan. And I'm just so grateful that I'm on the side of this truth when it comes to understanding what really matters and what's actually real when it comes to good versus evil, positive versus the negative. And I know that a lot of times, like even, right, there's that cliche saying here in America where good guys finish last. That's the mentality that they teach here, but it's not the truth. The good guys, we do come out on top as long as we stay spiritually convicted to the truth, which you always hear me say that the truth is the most high. That's it. It is, always will be. And there's nothing that can ever stop that. The only way you're going to stop that truth from being a reality in your life is when you stray away from it instead of trying to be more connected to it, and you embrace this fucking lie, this country. And as I get older and older, the less I want to engage in this country, the less I want to be engaged in the worldly world of things. I have no desire to go to family barbecues or parties or gatherings or amusement parks or movie theaters or restaurants or any place of entertainment. I have no fucking desire. And the only reason I can think of is because spiritually, I'm starting to change, or I have been for years now. But it's getting stronger and stronger ever since the pandemic hit. Ever since the pandemic hit, I was just like, okay, fuck this shit. I don't want to have any connection to this, because even before it wasn't like something that I felt like, oh, I need to be part of this world. I need to be in the mix. I need to be part of the crowd. I was already disengaging from that. But when the pandemic hit, it was like that feeling got injected with fucking steroids. So with that being said, let's take an intermission and we'll come back and we're going to talk about the United States, or the United Serpents of America, home of the disorderly deviants. We'll be right back.
You are now tuned in to the Network of Awareness.
I built this shit, me, brick by brick, and I'll be damned if I let you tear it down just cause you don't like the way another nigga talk.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you are looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. Make me a nightmare for people like you.
Righteous will do his will to the end. Yeah, the righteous will keeping faith till the end. Yeah, the righteous will. He that's righteous, let him stay righteous still. Only those with an ear will listen. Getting 1/3 is the only mission. If they don't wanna listen, let a fool stay a fool. Pretty soon they gon' wish that they paid attention. Cause Yah's coming swiftly. Just around the corner you can hear gunshots popping off. People losing their wits speed. Soon the USA, aka Babylon, will crash and fall. Much harder than the Twin Towers. 400 years of power, but the Gentiles felt like eternity, but to Yah it was 10 hours. We about to get out of this island of sick power. 1/3 will prevail, 2/3 will get devoured.
For the longest time I've tried to wake up my folks, but now I realize their eyes were meant to be closed. So I gotta leave them alone.
I'm just saying,
just leave them alone.
You can't save them.
Can't save the world, you just need to leave them alone.
His soul has some good, I saw it in his eyes. He actually concurred when I spoke about Yah. For a second I thought perhaps I could make a difference. You can show the horse the water, but you can't make him sip it. It's got me reminiscing when I first came into truth. Thought I was better than folks because of what I knew. But after refinement, trials, and maturity, I've realized that I'm no better than he or she. It doesn't matter how much knowledge you have, how much dollars you have. As long as you have Yah, everything will make sense. No need to get mad or pissed when the people you know hates the truth you spit. Cause the end is near, Yah's close and near. Adrenaline is rising high, citizens in fear. The truth isn't for everyone, no matter what you show. Just focus on Yah, he's the only way to go.
For the longest time I've tried to wake up my folks, but now I realize their eyes were meant to be closed. So I gotta leave them alone.
I'm just saying,
just leave them alone.
You can't save them.
You can't save the world, you just need to leave them alone.
Attitude reflect leadership. Attitude reflect leadership. Attitude reflect leadership.
Shout outs to all my brothers and sisters from NYC. Shout outs to the Boogie Down Bronx. My brother Lincoln.
You are now tuned in to the Network of Awareness.
Make it all burn brighter. I'ma set the night sky up like the 4th of July. Cause I'ma set the Bronx on fire. Got the gasoline, blowtorch, and a lighter. Jet fuel, make it all burn brighter. I'ma set the night sky up like the 4th of July. Cause I'ma set the Bronx on fire.
I'll be that rapid dragon, huffing and puffing on your ab with my tail wagging, aimed at whoever's pants sagging. You swear you swagging, the captain about to make it happen. Instead of cracking, you can hear the sizzle from Manhattan. You can't imagine the passion that a power feels when that power wields a flamethrower on the battlefield. Game's over, you can see me in the atmosphere screaming hell yeah, shining bright like a solar flare. At least the energy by university and universally dispersed. She spurts from the heat. You ain't even seen the worst, it's the first from the leak. You better rethink, reverse, and disperse before I drink this hot lava and spew it all over your block, partner. And I got the Molotov vodka. It'll be very hard to stop us when the team comes armed with the tanks and choppers and a motherfucking minigun.
Got the gasoline, blowtorch, and a lighter. Jet fuel, make it all burn brighter. I'ma I'ma set the night sky up like the 4th of July, cause I'ma set the Bronx on fire. Get the gasoline, blowtorch, and a lighter. Little jet fuel, make it all burn brighter. I'ma set the night sky up like the 4th of July, cause I'ma set the Bronx on fire.
I'm about to get my blaze on, got that napalm. Everybody better stay calm, or I'ma turn the flame on, lay it upon any game you put a claim on. Branch your frame till I got my whole name on it. Fools don't want it. I can call a deuce with the tools to bring a fuse. It's a fuel from a rocket. I can make a spark with 2 rocks in my pocket. I light up the dark when I rock it, cause I'm hot shit. I feel incendiary. Someone called the military. He lit it up from Soundview to the cemetery. I'll bury ya in a flammable area. Then send bombs from an aircraft carrier. Rain, fire, water down, flying a Harrier. Ain't nothing more scarier. Massive hysteria. It'll let you know what city is superior. Bronx bomb anybody from the exterior.
I got the gasoline, blowtorch, and a lighter. Little jet fuel, make it all burn brighter. I'ma set the night sky up like the 4th of July, cause I'ma set the Bronx on fire. I got the gasoline, blowtorch, and a lighter. Little jet fuel, make it all burn brighter. I'ma set the night sky up like the 4th of July, cause I'ma set the Bronx on fire.
Yeah, these thugs look mean with the jugs of kerosene. You fucking with a team that breathes straight ethylene. We light up the point when we smoke them with shooting greens. The whole city gleams, you can see it from Queens. With lungs full of steam, you can get dry clean. Come and try me, I'ma see you leave with the dry heaves. Got the whole dang borough burning like a stack of dry leaves. I'ma bring it back to the 90s. You can find me fighting an FDNYG, cause I be spitting the fire that burns inside me. Raise the flame when I change up the rhyme scheme. Watch yourself, bro, you don't wanna surprise me. I'm crazy like a propylene lace shit-based zombie, with gasoline poured on me. I burn the boogie down and I raise up an army and set the world ablaze when I shove this page up its asshole.
I got the gasoline, blowtorch, and a lighter. Little jet fuel, make it all burn brighter. I'ma set the night sky up like the 4th of July, cause I'ma set the Bronx on fire. I got the gasoline, blowtorch, and a lighter. Little jet fuel, make it all burn brighter. I'ma set the night sky up like the 4th of July, cause I'ma set the Bronx on fire. I got the gasoline, blowtorch, and a lighter. Little jet fuel, make it all burn brighter. I'ma set the night sky up like the 4th of July, cause I'ma set the Bronx on fire.
Please just tell me what's happening to me in plain English without the mumbo jumbo. How you doing?
Imagine what would have happened if Biggie and Pac was still rapping. Scratch that, if Biggie and Pump was still slapping. There's no capping, you get left with no captain. Snapping, can't see my words with
Imagine what would have happened if Pac and Hove actually had beef. The dynasty would have died before it hit the street. No bleak or seek, I can't fathom. It's so grabbing, it's like a genie with no Aladdin.
It happens, that's what you get when there's no love. Everything comes to a crossroads, no bone thugs. Everything goes in a flip mode, better hold on and take a little look around at what goes on.
Yeah, we so strong, the X I rep fam. I keep my thing on the low like check scams. A violator, I might just spray, I'm blessed, man. See, I could rock the nation off a Def Jam.
Around the information.
Imagine what would have happened if Puff and Mace never linked up. Would Mace be running the game, earning them big bucks? Would it still have been a Shine situation? Playing in my mind, I call it time manipulation.
What would have happened if Dre would have never signed Eminem based off his skin tone alone? Wouldn't let him in, or if he got put on and could've get a win, or if he was black and he rapped but was whack.
That's a fact, we giving y'all thoughts to think about. The mind frame of Hussein, I could sink a house. Eminem's blackballed for not being blackballed. Snoop made a diss track for him, it's different.
A snap in an instant, a man on a mission. Can't climb to the top with no plan or a vision. I never would imagine I'd be where I'm at or where I'm gon' be. Just wait, you gon' see, imagine that.
I built this shit. Me. Brick by brick. And I'll be damned if I let you tear it down just cause you don't like the way another nigga talk.
Peace, brother. I don't have a lot of time, Take. They got the dogs on me. You know, they really trying to get me to take this science appliance, brother. And you know I'm not doing that, man.
Oh, where you at?
Not doing it. I'm in an undisclosed location right now. Up in the nature spot near that cabin I used to go to. But they got the dogs tracking me. They got the satellites. So they eventually gonna get here. I got it barricaded, you know what I'm saying? Cause the only way I'm taking that jab is if I'm in a bag, brother. So I just wanna tell you this before anything else happens. And I wanna get this out to you and let you know. Alright, brother, take. They're at the door. I gotta tell you, just listen, brother, just listen.
Now it's time to get out your own way. Allow Yahweh, today is your day to amaze in many ways. Cause it's just another phase in this infinite space where Yah be giving us grace. I'm working the race with diligent praise, unwavering faith. I'll be damned if I stray from Yah's will and embrace. Man sealed his fate with his ignorant ways. The world is disgraced, vibration has raised at a very fast pace. I'm present today in high frequency waves. No more being enslaved, all praise to Yahweh. A Hebrew warrior from the land of the brave. From the cradle to the grave to my very last day. Send a serpent to his cave, God favored my way. Never fearful or timid, it was written and given. No religion, division can stop a messenger that's fulfilling his mission.
It'll only get worse before they get better. But the storm ain't meant to last forever. Even when the light is dim, the sun finds a way to shine again. Things are getting ugly, things are getting cold. But I know it's best to stay in my zone. And I can't stop now. I can't stop now.
Hey, I can't stop and won't stop, I gotta keep propelling. Final destination is a room in the heavens. Diligence and militance, His will is my medicine. I can live without a half, but His love is my everything. COVID is on the road, got the world on its toes. So many sheep with their eyes closed. Hey sir, would you like to take the jab? Man, kiss my ass, stop living by what the news told you. You got injustice, brutality saturating the streets. Blood spilling for no reason, thanks to the police. Meanwhile, syringes are being taken with speed. Can't do it, you ain't sticking no vaccination to me. Despite all the chaos, I still manage to stay on the right path. Gotta keep my focus and my faith strong. All day long, let spiritual music play on. All the honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh.
Things only get worse before they get better. But the storm ain't meant to last forever. Even when the light is dim, the sun finds a way to shine again. Things are getting ugly, things are getting cold. But I know it's best to stay in my zone. And I can't stop now. I can't stop now.
Can't stop, I won't stop. 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 Can't stop, I won't stop.
Let's stay to that. For one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. Make sure every day you do your own research, you seek out the truth, you stand in your truth no matter what. Yeah. Shalom. Let's get it. Use your own mind, be your own man. Use your third eye, gotta take a stand. Always walk by faith, fuck man what they say. Just always be you. Keep on seeking. I had no choice, I had to make it. All them chances I kept taking on myself. All within, higher self, I channel him. Yahweh guided me, how can I lose these niggas fools? Taking COVID jabs, I see right past the hokey doke. This shit the joke, just keep your third eye woke. Cause they will try to sleep you, but my vibration rising higher. Gone, I'm gliding, wings are spreading. Now I'm flying, government spying. They trying to kill you off, one by one. Agenda 21, 22, they keep hiding the truth. Open up your eyes, stand in your truth. Open up your eyes, keep on me and you. Open up your eyes, stand in your truth. Open up your eyes, just keep on me and you. Use your own mind, be your own man. Use your third eye, gotta take a stand. Always walk by faith, fuck man what they say. Just always be you. Keep on seeking truth, growing, awaken, vibration raising. I'm flowing toxic energy, I'm shedding, seeing everything with my third eye. You can't relate if you sleep, you a sheep. You can't see what's going on in front of you. You're hypnotized by the TV. The shit getting crazy, pushing agendas. The truth is constantly hitting you, forbidden from waking up anybody. When you do, they silence it. Only way to get ahead is sell your soul. Once you jump down the rabbit hole, can't turn back. Open up your eyes, stand in your truth. Open up your eyes, keep on being you. Open up your eyes, stand in your truth. Open up your eyes, just keep on being you. Use your own mind, be your own man. Use your third eye, gotta take a stand. Always walk by faith, fuck man what they say. Just always be you, keep on seeking truth. Use your own mind, be your own man. Use your third eye, gotta take a stand. Always walk by faith, fuck man what they say. Just always be you, keep on seeking truth.
So, one thing I want to say when it comes to this episode, right? What I want to say is like, we have to make sure that we stay focused on what matters, because the situation with this young man killing all these black people in this Tops supermarket, it's all part of social engineering. It's all propaganda. And it's all to stir up this feeling of something that we all know. And for all you people listening, don't get caught up in these things that happen, thinking that because we're going to preach and protest and seeing these people on the news talking about white terrorism and white supremacists and all that, there ain't nothing supreme about white culture. There is nothing that's even remotely fucking close to supremacy. I want to make that very clear. But we also have to remember that the Most High knows all, sees all, and is in control of it all. So let the Most High do what the Most High intends on doing. And let's just maintain our spiritual awareness, to dedicate ourselves to growing as the spiritual beings that we are, and let's remain righteous. But at the end of the day, we have to get righteously prepared. Shout outs to Brother Landon at Righteously Prepared. It's time, baby. We ain't scared, cause it's faith over fear.
Got the precious product that you'll ever come across. Tell your neighbor everything is at a lower cost. So if you wanna cop multiple items, ain't no problem. Righteously prepared, King Landon runs it all day. With the help of Yahweh, always giving Yah praise. Take me to the website, don't care for no ball game. I'd rather be ready, mentally, physically, spiritually. 300 mil took the vaccine, gotta be kidding me. You put all your trust in man, why give him the upper hand? Just so he can control you like a fucking lamb? Damn, now I see why 1/3 is so small. You can give 2/3 some knowledge, but they'll shrug it off. You got brothers and sisters with their businesses, and I'm proud and honored to be a witness. They're so gifted, and for those who's only thinking with maliciousness and vicious thoughts, do us a favor and get your ass off the premises.
Righteously prepared.
Righteously prepared. Righteously prepared. Righteously prepared.
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 Yeah.
I built this shit. Me. Brick by brick. And I'll be damned if I let you tear it down just cause you don't like the way another nigga thought.
Life is an unpredictable and amazing journey. Our ever-changing conditions within today's society and the constant new trends influencing cultures can become overwhelming, to say the least. But no worries. The Network of Awareness podcast radio show brings peace of mind in these challenging times. Follow us on your favorite podcast listening app and join our community of Network of Awareness at networkofawareness.com. Now, on a positive note, okay, and shout outs to all the brothers and sisters in the chat room. Salute to y'all. Really appreciate y'all being here. And there's something I want to say. There's one thing to say that you're in this truth community, that you're conscious, that you're righteous, that you give all your praise to the Most High, and that you love the Most High, and that you do your best in putting out righteous intentions and living this life that the Most High wants us to live. It sounds great, but it's one thing to say it, and it's a whole nother thing to actually live it. And with that being said, I have to give a salute. I have to give my utmost respect, and I'm going to give a really, really strong, righteous shout out to a brother and his wife that are living this life. They're not just talking about it. They're living it. And with that being said, I want to give a shout out to Trevon, brother Trevon. All right. Some of you know him as Trey. Brother Trevon and his wife, I want to say salute to y'all because you're doing it. And it's not about just talking about it. It's about really living this. Because, you know, unfortunately, there's brothers and sisters that say that they are really about this life and they're really about this community and they're really about helping each other, but they're not. They're really for themselves and they really are not about that life and they really ain't doing anything righteous for themselves or for others especially. But when I see or I hear about, like I heard about Brother Trevon helping out Brother Rorian and his wife, right? Brother Zachariah. I got to give props where props is due. It just is what it is. And shout outs to Brother Rorian, you know, Zachariah and his wife, because the fact that you guys are elevating and you know, having the Most High is favoring your condition to improve. And shout outs to y'all for having a place, you know, to live now, to call your own. And it's only going to keep getting better and better. And all I got to say is praise to Yahweh Elohim for that. And it's so wonderful to know that brothers like Trevon and like sisters like his wife, who I don't know her name, but let's just call them the Santiagos. I'm so happy to hear about these stories or these things that have just recently happened. And the fact that Brother Trevon and his wife took time out of their day to help Brother Rorian and his wife and help them move to their place and drive them and all that, that's a beautiful thing, man. And that's what it's all about. Because it's one thing to say that you're about living truth. But it's a whole nother story when you're actually walking the walk and you don't got to say shit. All you just got to do is be who you say you are. And the rest will be seen and will be heard by those who need to see it and hear it. And that's all that matters, because at the end of the day, the Most High sees everything. So I just had to give a shout out to Brother Trevon. I want to give a shout out to Rorian and his wife, for having things working out for them as they should. Because one thing that I know is that faith, unwavering, is a supernatural power that is favored on a consistent basis by the Most High. And it's not easy. This life ain't for everybody. It's a lonely one. Even if you're in a marriage or whatever, it's a lonely one in regards to society. Because as you can see here, we live in the home of disorderly deviants. So when you're surrounded with people like this all around you on a regular, consistent basis, because it's not just these people in the picture, they are the offspring of a family bloodline that is in the multitudes when it comes to this place. And they're all over this motherfucker. They're in all 50 states. We are surrounded by them. And they're not just people of Caucasian descent. They come in all different shapes and sizes and complexions. So the fact that if you are a person that says that you live this life that you are dedicating to the Most High, I salute you, because it's not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of fucking discipline. A lot. Every day. And it takes a lot out of us to maintain a mentality that is built on faith instead of fear. And we all go through it. I know I do. I know that I was being tested a couple of weeks ago, and I could have fell into a trap to get me off course, when it comes to my relationships. But I didn't let me take it off course, or have it take me off of course, because Satan's always on the prowl. These demons, these haters, you got to be aware of them, and you got to be righteously prepared to deal with them accordingly. And the only way you're going to be able to even deal with them accordingly is if you get out your own way and allow the Most High to guide the way, so that you can utilize the power of discernment to deal with these people. And most of the time, the best way to deal with them is to not deal with them at all. Just let them be and let the Most High take care of them. I'm not saying to not be aware and prepared, because if you got to put somebody down or put somebody in their place, when the time comes, be ready to do it. Just don't force the issue like I was going to do a couple of weeks ago. I was going to get caught up. And I'm so grateful that I have certain people in my life that remind me that my life has value, and I don't have to get caught up with petty little simple Simon motherfuckers. These righteous haters. These motherfuckers that, have no life. They have nothing better going on for themselves. So they want to try to integrate themselves into yours. And it's not so much that they want to be a part of your life, whether it be a male or female. They just don't want to see you thrive. They don't want to see you happy. They don't want to see you content. They want to interfere with that. So for all you people, and I know that some of you in this chat room are going through some things right now, allow the Most High to take care of it. Don't take matters into your own hands, because that's exactly what these malevolent dark force wants you to do. It wants you to basically lose your light through your own doing. Because that's what wicked people do. They like to manipulate energy. They don't take the energy from you. They make you lose it yourself. You wind up losing it. You wind up losing your light. So don't do that. It's very important, because it can happen in a moment's notice. And as upset as I was to hear this story about this disorderly deviant, it's the sign of the times, people. These evil people, they're nervous right now. Because when the righteous brothers and sisters on the planet start to come together, it's over. And when the Most High says it's over, it will be over. And there's nothing that can stop that. The wickedness here in the United Serpents of America is an illusion. And not only is it an illusion, but it's an illusion that is weakening day by day. And the only thing that a lot of these types of people that you see here in this artwork, the only thing that they have left to result to is the very thing that they have, that they used to gain power in the first place. And that is violence. That is just the ugly lower nature of man. This deviant, the deviant nature of men and women is the only reason why they even have this illusion of power called the United States of America. The United States of America it's an idea that's built off of hatred. And now almost 500 years or over 500 years later, the very people that brought this wickedness here and have created this illusion of prestige and of glory and of greatness, that illusion is crumbling little by little because it's already been written. It's a spiritual thing. Keep that in mind. When you see all of the travesties and the tragedies that are happening in this country day by day, it has to happen. It's a long time coming. This place, its time is nigh and it's drawing so near. And I can't wait to have it or to see it unfold and to see that it doesn't exist anymore. Because I don't feel comfortable here. And I know that many of you don't feel comfortable here. And the closer you understand, or the more you get to understand that you're a spiritual being having a physical experience, there's no need to be attached to the physical world because energy never dies. It only transforms. And these bodies that we live in are so temporary. White supremacy? Please give me a break. Ain't no such thing as white supremacy. It's a fucking illusion. It's a word that has no meaning. It means nothing. I think we get too caught up in this white supremacy thing. Too caught up. It's time that we let go of these old institutional social constructs and socially conditioned ideas of what is and what isn't when it comes to this country, when it comes to this world, when it comes to life as a whole. If you want to know the answers and you're seeking knowledge, seek from within first and foremost. All right? That's where you're going to find the answers. It's always going to be within you. It's good to read scriptures. I think everybody should read scriptures. I think everybody should read books that provide positive, reinforcing information that lets you know that your life has value. I think it's important to understand historical events, not just of this country, but the world. But the real truth starts from within. Get to understand who you are, what you are, and why you're here. And I guarantee you that your faith is going to increase in its vibration, and the fear that you hold so dear and near to you will slowly diminish to where it doesn't even exist anymore. The only fear that we should have is not being all that we are meant to be and can be with the gifts that we've been given by the Most High. We should be in fear of failing the Most High as his children and being unfaithful. We should be in fear of that. We shouldn't be in fear of no fucking white supremacy. We shouldn't be in fear of another man and woman. And we shouldn't want to have this certain image that somebody else told you should have. Because if it didn't come from within you and it came from outside of you, then chances are it ain't right. So with that being said, brothers and sisters, I want to thank everybody and shout out to all the people in the chat room. I see that a lot of you have made some great points. Thank you for that. You know, thank you, Danita, Cherish, Jacob, Brother Take One, Mauricio, Jacob, Landon, all the people that are listening outside the chat room, all those that are going to be downloading the show. I hope this show is just going to give you some peace of mind to let you know that, yeah, this is a wicked place, man. And yes, racism does exist here. It hasn't gone nowhere. Don't give any energy to these people that like, oh, racism is dead. It doesn't exist anymore. oh, this is the greatest country on the planet. Don't even give your energy to these fucking idiots. Because if they haven't figured it out yet, they probably never will. All right? So that's it for today, brothers and sisters. And like I always say, man, when you live in the present, man, there's always an opportunity for a new beginning. So be present. Don't be past. Don't be future. Be present. Because the future is bright for the faithful. That's without a shadow of a doubt. So don't look for the light at the end of the tunnel, because the light is and always will be within you. So light up the tunnel and find your way through the fucking darkness. This is Or the Information that's saying peace, love, and light. And thanks for tuning in. Barakatah.